Hi, it's time for another math easy solution. Time to discuss further into applications of integrals, and now look at further into probability and go over example 1 of the probability example series. Basically, we're going to solve this example, which states let f of x equal 2 0.00x times 10 minus x for the interval x is between 0 and 10. And f of x is equal to 0 for all other values of x. So between this range, you have this function, and equals 0 everywhere else. And now the part A of this example states, verify that the function f is a probability density function. And again, make sure to watch my earlier video on probability, the introduction, which I go over the probability density function. And then part B states, find the probability that x is within 4 and 8 right here. So let's look at part A. So recall that a PDF, we'll just call this probability density function, I'll call it PDF, just easier to write. So recall a probability density function, or PDF, has two conditions that I went over in my last video. It has two conditions that need to be met. And the first one right here is one, you need to have f of x greater than or equal to 0. And then the second one was that the area under the curve has to be equal to 1. So integral from negative infinity to infinity, where every value of x dx has to equal to 1. So let's look at the first case. So 1, this is f of x greater than or equal to 0. So let's look at the first interval for x is less than or equal to x less than or equal to, greater than 0, less than or equal to 10, we have f of x is equal to, this is equal to, let's scroll up, this is 0.006 times x times by x minus 10, or other way around, 10 minus x. So when we look at here, this is a positive number. This one right here, whatever in this interval, since x is positive, this is positive, greater than or equal to 0, let's put in 0. And then here, 10 minus, let's say put in 9, you're going to have a positive number. And then again, so this part right here in this interval is also greater than or equal to 0. Only when you go over 10, you get a negative number. In terms of 10 minus 11, for example, it's negative. But this interval is from 0 to 10, so that's greater than or equal to 0. So in this case, we have f of x is greater than or equal to 0. So that fits the part 1. And also we know that f of x is equal to 0 for all other values, or for all other x values. So since it's equal to 0, that fits this case. So this is also true. So basically the first condition is met. Let's look at the second one. So the second one is, look at the interval, from negative infinity to infinity, and look at the area. So this one of f of x dx. So we could write this to be 100% complete. Negative infinity up to 0 of f of x dx plus, we could do plus, integral from 0 to 10 of f of x dx, and then plus the last one, 10 to negative infinity of f of x dx. And again, this is an integral of 0. This one is all equal to 0. So for all, again, for all other values of x, so you have f of x equals to 0. So this goes to 0. Integral of 0 is just 0. So underneath this curve, it's going to be no area. It's all 0. So that's, we only need to deal with, we only need to deal with this. Actually, here I made a mistake. This is from 0 to 10. It's the other way around. So the only one we need to deal with is this one right here, and make sure that equals to 1. So this just equals to 0 to 10, because everything else is 0, f of x dx. So let's write that down. So 0 to 10, or I'll just write that down here. Actually, let's do it again. It's for completeness sake. And let's plug in our formula. This equals to 0 to 10.006 x 10 minus x dx. 0.006 is constant. We can just take that out of the integral. and we'll just write that out like that, and then times this x inside, just to simplify it, we'll have 10x minus x squared dx, and then take the integral right here, and also here what I'm going to do is just write this as a fraction. There is 3 decimal places, we'll move it 1, 2, and 3, and we'll just have 6 over 1,000, the same way as writing 0.006. So now what we have is, this is going to be 10x squared integral of 10x divided by 2. Then we have integral of x squared is x cubed over 3. And then we evaluate it from 0 to 10. So we get 6 over 1,000. Right here, just to make it easier to work with. Plug this inside. This is just 5. And this is cancels, that's 1. So we'll have, plug that in, 5 times 10 squared minus right here 10 cubed over 3. So what we have here, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to multiply this by the common denominator right here of 3. So 3 and then divided by 3. So that what we end up having is 6 over 1,000. And then we have this 15 times, this is going to be 100. 100 minus, this is just 1,000. Well, actually, instead of even doing that, we'll just keep this squared like that. I'll show you why. So we have this, because we could just factor out this 10 squared instead of having to deal with big numbers. So we could factor out this 10 squared, and also this just cancels with this. So that's 2. Factor out a 10 squared, so we have 10 squared. Out of there is over 1,000. 1,000 is also 10 cubed. I'll just put it there. So 10 cubed, just to make it easier to cancel stuff out. So now we have 15. This is just a bunch of algebra. You can put this in your calculator. I just want to go over some algebra just for fun's sake. So now here we factored out the 10 squared. Take it out of this. We just left with the 10 to the power of 1, and the 3's are gone. So what we end up having is like this. This cancels. We're just left with a 10 like that. So 2 over 10, and then we have this is a 5. So which equals to 2 times 5, which is 10 over 10, which equals to 1. So we've just proven that this equals to 1 right here. So the second part is true as well. So the second condition is true. So thus this function is a PDF. Thus f of x is a probability density function, or PDF for short, and I'll just circle that. And now let's look at the second part of the example, which states find the probability that x is between 4 and 8. So again, that's the same thing, but now the intervals are different as what I did above. So part B, so probability that 4 less than equal to x less than equal to 8. And this, we'll just put a capital for signaling the random variable x. I think that's usually what they would write. So we'll have 4 to 8, and then this is going to be f of x, which is 0.006 x, and then this is 10 minus x. So it's the same thing, but instead of negative infinity to infinity or 0 to 10, we have 4 to 8, and then dx. So again, I'm going to write this out, take it out of the integral because it's constant, and then just write it as a fraction. 1,000, and then we have finally, this is 4, 8, 10x minus x squared dx. Then integrating this again, we get this is going to be x squared divided by 2. So again, we have the 5x squared. 10 divided by 2, exactly like we did above, and this is x3 over 3. This is going to be from 4 to 8. Again, this is exactly where we left off here. So this is where we got this 5 from, and then instead of 0 to 10, we have 4 to 8. So now we evaluate this. This is going to be 6 over 1,000. Plug in the 8. 5 times 8 squared minus 8 cubed over 3 minus, now plug into 4. 4 squared minus 4 cubed over 3, like that. So what we could do here is just look again the common denominator of 3 and multiply this by 3, like that. This is a 5. And then I'm going to divide by 3, so we're not changing anything. And then here as well, let's write this neater, move this around, times by 3, divided by 3, because we have a common denominator of 3 everywhere. So what we'll have now, 6 over 1,000, and then 3 times 5 is 15, but also this 8 squared, and then this is 4 squared. I'm going to factor these out just to make it easier to do the algebra. Again, this is just a exercise in algebra. You could plug in this a calculator, but I'd rather just do this by hand because it's pretty interesting just to do this by hand. So now we'll have 15 because we factor out the 8 squared, and this is the common denominator of 3, like that. Let's put this like this: 15 minus, and we factored out 8 squared, so this is just left with 8. And then the same thing over here, we factor out the 4 squared. So then we have, again, common denominator of 3, and then we have this 15 minus, now there's a 4 left over. When you take out the 4 squared, out of this 4 cubed, there's just a 4. So same as here, 15 minus 8, 15 minus 4, and there's 4 squared, 8 squared, like that. Yeah, so now the next step I'm going to do is, well, just simplify this, 6 over 1,000, but I'm going to keep this 8 squared there, because I'll show you how we could factor out an 8 again. So 15 minus 8, that's 7, and now there's both common denominator of 3, so we'll just use one denominator of a 3 like that, minus this 4 squared. 4 squared is just 16, or 4 times 4, but 16 is also 2 times 8. I'm just going to write it like this so we could factor out this 8, so that's what this 4 squared is. Now 15 minus 4, that's just 11. So now, and also before we go further, we can cancel this 3 out with this, get a 2. And now what we're going to do is take out this 8 by factoring it out. So we have 8, there's a 2 as well. So 2 times 8, 1,000. So we factor out the 8 from both of these numbers. So we get 8 times 7, so we factor out an 8 from the 8 squared, and also from this 8. So we get 2, and then 8's gone there, 11. And now we could write this further. 2 times 8 is 16. This is over 1,000, and the 3 is gone. So now we have 8 times 7, that's just 56. 2 times 11, that's just 22. So subtract this out, we get 16 over 1,000. 56 minus 22, that's just 34. So we have 34, and now we could just multiply these numbers out. So 16, let's go 34, let's do multiplication by hand, times by 16. You can see a proof of my earlier video on multiplication by hand. So 6 times 4 is 24, carry the 2, 6 times 3 is 18, add 2 is 20. And now we add a 0, and now do the 1. So 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 3 is 3. And then we just add. So when we add these up, we get 4, 4, and then 5. So this means that this probability, this equals 2, let's write this finally down, probability that this is 4 is less than equal to x, less than equal to 8, so x is between 4 and 8 equals 2, 16 times 34 is 544, 544 over 1,000, which equals, just divide this out or move this decimal place 3 spots with 3 zeros, so we get 0.544, which also equals 2 many times by 100 to get the percent, 54.4%. Yeah, so the probability that x is between 4 and 8 in that probability density function is 54.4%. Anyways, that's all for today. Hopefully you'll learn from this. Just pretty interesting video. It's pretty straightforward. You could use a calculator to quickly solve these integrals or these values right here, but I chose to just do the long way of doing a bunch of algebra by hand, just to exercise my brain here and hopefully follow it along, as I did some pretty good techniques on algebra to make it to simplify it without needing a calculator. Anyways, that is all for today. Hope you learned from this video. Like always, you can download these exact notes in the link below, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for another math easy solution.